Oh no. Well, I'm back. I'm not sure where I'm going to go to on this one. Uh, I looked back at my library, at my books again. Quick run through here. There I see 19th century critical history, and then there's the history of world painting and expressionism, and then German expressionism, uh, and then American painting, and Latin American art, then Native America, and then the Quanquiuto, I don't know what that is, and then Champ Fleury, uh, and then uh, uh, okay, then Lauer painting of the cave, and then American Vision, and then I have Irving Sandler, The Triumph of American Painting, then Kandinsky, Der Blau Reader, and Gustav Klimt, Women, and then Portfolio 6, Compositions as Structure, and then there's Gauguin, Cezanne, and Matisse, and then Oscar Kokoschka, and then George Johansson, and then Egon Schiele, um, and then the next row down I've John Singer Sargent, the early portraits, and then Eric Fischl, and then Pablo Picasso, and another Pablo Picasso, Una Retrospectiva. I think that one is all in Spanish. I need to learn Spanish to read that one. And then I have Matisse and painting as subjects, and then Matisse and the subject of the modernism. And then George Brock, then a Van Gogh again. And then traditional oil painting, the language of the nude, drawing from life, Bridgman's life drawing, Atlas of Human Anatomy, and then Human Anatomy, and then Figurative Artist's Handbook, and then Anatomy for the Artist, and then there's Courbet, and then Stroganoff, the Palace and Collections of a Russian noble family, and then the Loup de Goethe, and then I have Frida Kahlo after that, and then down here I have the Wild West, and then Michelangelo twice, 2 books, Michelangelo, and then Michelangelo paintings and sculpture. And then Giotto, and then Renoir, 2 books on Renoir. And then Leonardo da Vinci, 2 books. Those are that come together as a pair. And then Metropolitan Children, and then Titian, and then another book on Titian, Tintoretto Veronese. Baroque, Mannerism, Whistler, and Zubron. Let's see. Okay, it's a varied library, quite a few different books, and I could fill it in. It would take a lot of books to fill it in for a proper for the artists. The artists, you show one artist, and they have their friends and who they painted with, and who they reflected and who inspired them. So you work off of each artist, and you get a whole variety of painters and people that worked off of each other. Of course, a lot of our art, I am inspired by all of these and the artists that I see at the Portland Art Museum, and the sculptures that you see around town. They're all over the place. And paintings that you see everywhere, a lot of different places. And let's see, and over there I have the book is on Rembrandt. It's just a weekend in the life of Rembrandt. They put together a book based on one weekend of Rembrandt's life. And so that's kind of interesting. Art and culture around 1492, right at the turn of the century, 1500, that's when Leonardo da Vinci was working so well, and Michelangelo, and gosh, all those guys, they were really going at it. Now 500 years later, we're working on SpaceX is getting ready to send ships to Mars, to the moon and to Mars, and so we'll be exploring again, not just little sailboats out across the seas, but rockets out into space. And that's something that Elon Musk, he wants to send 1,000 ships out into space. And you know what? All those ships are made out of steel. And once they get up there in space, they can cut them apart and they can fashion them into whatever shapes they want. So they can do a lot of different things with all those 1,000 ships that they send out into space, and create huge space stations and all. It'll be really something to see what they can build up there once they get up there, and they start mining on the moon and on Mars. They'll be mining for sure, get all sorts of things. Maybe they can send it back down here to Earth. And the stuff that they mine, so we won't have to mine as much here on Earth. Leave the Earth alone a little bit more. That would be a great advance, where we could send rare metals and back to Earth that we could use, and they could be processed out in space, probably cheaper than here on Earth with gravity and everything. So that would be interesting. And anyway, so I just thought I'd sit down and talk a little bit more. My library here, I've got so many different things. Here's my $2 books that I got at the Thriftway store. And a lot on Bullfinch's mythology and theory and philosophy of art, style, artist, and society, visual values of art, an artist's notebook, and the power of the images, the revenge of the Philistines, and the art of Renoir, on modern American art. And then I have the Holy Koran, I have the Orthodox Study Bible, and the Gospel in hymns. So, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different Bibles in a row. And let's see. Fortune is a river. That's Michelangelo, I think. I forget. No, that's Leonardo da Vinci and Niccolo Machiavelli's magnificent dream to change the course of Florentine history. Fortune is a river. And what's this one? John Gardner, A Tale in the Suicide Mountains. For the children who love his fairy tales, for the adults who have read and admired his novels from Grendel to October Light, the prodigious and celebrated John Gardner here creates a magical and mysterious world, a world of tales spun within tales of dragons and talking babies and kings who have 12 daughters, each more beautiful than the last. A world of sudden transformation and hidden significances, in which Judo, the goat's son, and Armida, the blacksmith's daughter, and Christopher the Sullen, crown prince of the kingdom, meet by chance in the Suicide Mountains, each for anguishing reasons, intent on self-destruction. And these encounter the abbot of the ancient monastery, saintliest and most enigmatic of men, who teaches them that things are not always as they seem. No, they're not always as they seem, are they? That's a fun book, though. Judo, the goat's son. He's a shapeshifter. Gets angry a lot. Anyway. And there's the genius of the place. And Frederick Law Olmsted, he designed Central Park in New York City. And a new theory of urban design, the next American metropolis. art as experienced. John Dewey, he's quite an art philosopher. Well, I don't know. That's good for now. I wasn't facing the camera very much, probably. I don't know how this one will turn out. I'll look and see.